In recent years, the idea of censorship has become even more prevalent. While many are aware that different aspects of their lives are being censored, I compiled a small sample of survey questions using random selection to find out how the people of London, Ontario feel about the issue. I interviewed 10 males and 10 females, focusing my search in the downtown core for convenience, because more people are concentrated in a small area. I asked only 5 questions of each participant in order to hold the public's interest.
Probably maybe making some guidelines in terms of not allowing certain things and privacy and all that kind of stuff.
Censorship of pornography, things that shouldn't be on.
It blocks what people can see on the internet.
Creating a safe environment, I guess, for all users of the internet, and also a safe environment, for corporations to use as well.
I usually think of government censorship probably first.
Blocking sites.
I don't know. I'd say sometimes it's the former.
I think a more safe environment.
I think control content. When I think the internet, I think of it as free space, and people, even if it's not the best stuff, they should be able to go and look at what they want to look at, and I don't think it should be controlled by the government.
But I think it depends on the place.
Overall, I would say censorship is a very bad thing, just because of what it blocks people from having, you know what I mean? I think information is a great thing.
I guess in general it'd be for a safe environment, but it could be used, I guess, to manipulate people.
That's a safe environment.
I personally think that it's set in place in order to kind of regulate and for the good, basically, but there's in those types of situations, I think things can always be taken advantage of, and so I personally would like to believe that it's in place for that reason, but again, I think you kind of never know, so it's hard to call.
I think the first one,
Okay.
but I guess both would be important.
Someone searching porn.
I download music and videos, so
I don't know. I'm not so sure whether either of those is that. I mean, I get the intellectual property concern of the second one, but I think, if I can digress a little bit for a second, but I think some of that is more a function of the media distribution system just not being flexible enough to be able to deal with the way the new marketplace works. So that one I'm not so worried about. And when it comes to legal, I guess that's how you define legal, but sexually explicit images. Whatever people do nowadays, I'm not too worried about.
I know personally, I mean, I'm all for the free downloading and stuff.
I don't think there's anything wrong with legal sexually explicit material, and actually I'm gonna say that illegal downloading of music and video is probably a bad thing. I'm gonna say it, and it should be more enforced.
Well, I definitely don't agree with both. I do think that, definitely artists these days are not getting the credit and the money that they deserve for all their hard work. I would think that's hard because everyone has a different opinion of what is right and wrong.
Yeah, I think in terms of when you set the laws of what's publicly acceptable or not, ideally they work around whatever community consensus is.
I mean, in a philosophical sense, I say it's not. There's no one can actually put that guideline out there, but in a practical sense, I think that maybe needs to be some sort of guidelines, because otherwise it's kind of like chaotic, right? It's the whole thing why laws are in place and why things are in place, right? You need to have some sort of guidelines.
I don't think it's not possible to ban those things.
No, because there's so many gray areas, it's hard for one person just to sit down and decide what is black and white and right and wrong. So I think it wouldn't be up to one person. It'd have to be like dozens upon dozens of people sitting down and figuring out the acceptable internet usage protocol.
Because if someone told me to, you know, judge what should be censored and what shouldn't be, I wouldn't know what to say. You know, what right do I have to say what's appropriate and what's not appropriate?
Well, if the government oversees something, it's usually in their best interest, but an independent body would be better capable of determining what people should see and shouldn't. Actually, perhaps even a referendum of some kind, and people can choose for themselves.
Wow, yeah, I think that's disgusting. I mean, I had heard that there was some regulations as far as the internet was concerned with China, but I had no idea it was that dramatic already.
But it makes me glad that there are initiatives like the ones that I moved to try and undermine a lot of that behavior that's going on in those countries, and I appreciate it.
I don't want people tracking what I'm saying or what I'm looking at, so.
When asked what the meaning of internet censorship was, 55% of people agreed that it was a means to manipulate and control content on the internet, while the other 45% said it was an effective way to maintain a safe environment on the web. When asked whether the internet is used to protect public interest or if it's used for political and corporate interest, 3 females agreed that it was used in favor of public interest. 3 females believed that it was truly a means to protect their loved ones from inappropriate content. I then asked, which of the following types of censorship do you feel is most appropriate? 85% of those surveyed agreed that legal, sexually explicit material should be highly censored, with only 15% agreeing that illegal downloads are a larger issue. I asked Londoners what they thought of green dam filtering software now being installed in all computers in China. A majority of 90% were unaware of the process even taking place. I believe that while censorship of certain elements of the internet may prove to be beneficial, it is impossible to determine what is considered appropriate content. The idea of making moral judgments based on a specific group's beliefs is subjective and invalid. In the famous words of John Milton, censorship requires censors who have to read the material. If the material is corrupting, what will happen to the censors themselves?
Show me love, show me heaven up above. Show your soul.